Yo, Angelo.
Hello everyone, this is D from DJ on Union, and today we're going to be going over a certain little deck. It's going to be Blue Hunter Hunter, specified slot. And today we're going to be dabbling into the deck, going through the cards, telling you what everything is going to be doing in the deck, as well as what is going to be going into the deck. So, we're going to be jumping right in, but before that, why don't you like the video and subscribe down below, and yeah, we'll jump right in. Alright, so for our first card in this deck, we have Gone Freaks at the 0 energy version. He is basically your first card that you're going to really want to try to get out to help you cycle through your deck. You draw a card, place one from your hand to sideline. It's a really good card. It's very beneficial for helping you get through your deck when you don't have the specified slot cards out. So he is a good mainstay for you. You don't want to have too much of him since there is no raid with him. So you don't want to try to overwhelm your deck with this character because you don't want to draw into this when you should be drawing into your other cards. Your next card is your Kila Zic. You're running 4 of them simply because this is your raid fodder. There is a raid Killa for this deck, and how else are you going to raid into him if you don't have a Killa? So we're going to run 4 0 cost Killas to cover that raid cost for him. Bisy is a very important card, which is why you're going to be running 4 of her. She's not just important because she's a 0 cost card, she's very important because of her active main ability. When you put her in resting and sideline her, she's able to fetch out any specified slot card from your sideline, which is extremely vital considering how powerful some of these specified slot abilities are, and you're going to be going into the graveyard quite often. Therefore, you're going to need to fetch them right back out with this card. So she's typically your turn 1 play. You're going to have her sit on your board, hopefully keeping her safe until you can reach into your sideline and pull out the specified cards that you've used their effects of, or then that you've had to, I don't know, sideline with, let's say, Gon's effect. Draw a card, send one to sideline, you send a specified slot card, you can use Bisy to fetch that specified slot card back out to help you reach some of those better effects. So Bisy can be good early game and late game as long as you have specified slot cards in your sideline. And your final 0 cost card is going to be Benel. You're running 2 of him because Nullify Impact. Impact's too pesky, it's too troublesome. If you don't have Benel, if you don't have Nullify Impact, you're open to very big, very dangerous attacks. Moving on to your 1 energy cards, you're going to be running 2 Idas, and the reason why you're going to be running her is because she is your typical play her, and then when she's played, return a card of 1 or less energy to your hand, which case you will be cycling your Gon to, of course, draw a card, then discard one. But also, she's your staple 2 energy card outside of some of the future cards that we'll be getting into, but she's your very good early game setup for this energy generation. Next, we have a 1 cost, 1 energy, 1 action Gone Freaks. This card is the first card that deals with specified slot and why it's so important to have specified slot access at all times. When he attacks, you reveal specified slot cards in your hand, and based on the number of different names in your hand and on the field, they don't all have to be in your hand, he can give any character impact +1. Pretty much giving a card without impact, or making a card that has impact get impact 2 instead, and now doing 2 damage instead of the 1 damage when it wins a battle. That's pretty much it for this card. He's just going to be looking for that protection until you're able to mark it on his ability and swing for those big hits by intimidating your opponent with impacts. Next up is going to be your Killa card at 2 energy, and pretty much he allows you to, every time you attack, you can draw a card and discard one, very similar to Gon, except it's more frequent because it's every time he gets a chance to attack. So you are going through your deck a lot quicker now, and you're also being able to put things in the sideline a lot quicker, which isn't that great of a thing at this point in the deck construction process, because we do have some cards outside of Bisy that help you out with the sideline. Bisy helps you search a specified slot card from your sideline. What happens if something else ends up in there? We'll see soon. But for now, this is Killa's main motive. Get him out and go through your deck as quick as you can by attacking with him a bunch. This card is your biggest card. This card is your main card of your deck. These 4 Gons at 3 energy is so vital to the deck, it's not even a joke. This card lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Not 1, not 2, 7. 7 cards of your deck. Just, you get to look at. You put them all on the bottom, but this is so vital because at this point, you're doing this so frequently in your deck, you will literally know everything that's in your deck, and by result, be able to deduce what's in your life. Let's say you've only gone through 3 Bisy's trainings, or whatever the final card is of this deck. Because if you have 3 of them, that 4th one has to be in your life, right? So you know how to play around it at that point. Not to mention, he also lets you add any specified slot card that you find them and add it to your hand. Very useful for building up your specified slot presence, and very useful for looking at your deck and getting a good amount of information, especially with you being able to put them on the bottom in any order of your choosing, which is very important to keep tabs on because of another feature card that we will be talking about. Speaking of Bisy's Training, which I did kind of spoil a little bit, you're running 4 of it. Your standard final card, your standard untapped 2 action points. You're running 4. This card is very powerful, but you want to use her sparingly. Nothing is worse than needing a specified slot card or a different type of card and drawing into a Bisy that requires 2 actions to get out, leaving you with 1 less action per game, per round. This Bisy is very strong because you get to reveal any number of cards in your hand, dancing around that specified slot amount, and depending on the number of different specified slot cards that you have on the field or that you revealed in your hand, you get to kill something on your opponent's front line with that number of specified slot cards times 1,000. So typically if you're running 4 specified slot cards, that's 4,000 BP or less, and if you're running 5 specified slot cards, that's 5 BP or less. She's very powerful. You want to use her for those big kill moments, just to make sure that you can wipe the board clean if there's any big threats to your cards. Alright, so your next card up is going to be 3 Raid Killuas. Now you're not going to be running a full 4 because we do need space for some of our other really powerful cards. However, this is not a sacrifice, or at least not as big of a sacrifice as you may be thinking. Yes, running 3 instead of your 4 raids is a huge difference in many other decks, but with this deck you're able to do a really special thing that we will be talking about in a little bit. But for right now we're going to be talking about this card. And with this card, when you reveal specified slot cards, if you reveal 2, every time he attacks, you get to draw a card. That's 1 step closer to your bigger cards in your deck, as well as your higher chance of getting more than 4 specified slot cards in your hand / on the field at any given time. Speaking of 4 or more, once you hit 4, this character will get damage 2 whenever he attacks. That means your opponent is then threatened into either taking damage they cannot afford to take at any given point in time at any point for any reason whatsoever, or they lose a character. Because a 4K character swinging in 9 times out of 10 is going to be any character that's on the field, exceptions being characters boosted by a 3,000 trigger, or characters that are innately at 5,000 if this character's stuck at 4,000. Another absolute staple. You're running 4 of these gods. The reason why you're going to run 4 of these is because he activates his ability in the main phase as long as he's on the front line. With 3 specified slot cards, you get to draw a card. Just off of that, you don't need to attack, you don't need to do anything else other than have him on the front line. You get to use this ability to draw 1 card. Then, if it's 4 more, he gets impact, once again threatening your opponent's front line, getting in either free damage or taking out a character, and I'm just saying opening him up for even more damage because of the impact ability. And your next card, 1 copy of Junin. Now I know what you're thinking, 1 kill card? Why are you only running 1 kill card? This little special little trigger down here in the bottom says special, and you can only run 4 of these in a deck. That's right, 3 of them are being used elsewhere. And we're actually about to dive into these cards right now once we jump into the specified slot aspect of things. But because of the specified slot aspect, we are running only 1 Junin to add a little bit pizzazz to the deck instead of running only 3 specials. Leading the charge of specified slot is Teron, a funky little cat character that you can play on the field, and every turn on your main phase, you can switch it to resting, place the top card of your deck face down under this character. Now, it's not much, you know, you just swing this character sideways and then put the top card of your deck underneath him, right? Nothing fancy really happening there. However, since you're able to do this multiple times, you can get multiple cards placed under him at any given point in time. He always stands up when it comes to your opponent's turn, so you're able to block with him if he's on your front line, which is what you're going to want to do, because when he's sidelined, you get to look at any card that's underneath him and add one of those cards to your hand, and then place any of the others into the sideline. That's right, any of these cards that are underneath him, you can place it into your hand without any restriction, and your opponent does not have to even know what it is, because it was underneath him. You don't have to prove that it was underneath him, other than the fact that it was literally underneath him. So you put one to hand, one to sideline, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're one step closer to having those specified slot cards you need, or even a strong character that benefits off a specified slot as well. Your next big specified slot card is Paladins Necklace. It is your non-kill kill spell. It does not necessarily just kill a character outright, instead it deraids any character on the field, whether that's an opponent's character or even your own raid character. Now I know what you may be thinking, why would I want to deraid one of my own characters? I only have 3 Killas in it. And we're not there yet. We're not there yet to one of the craziest cards I believe being in this set, but you also get to draw a card off of it. So yeah, you may be sacrificing, let's say, your raid Killa, but you get a card draw off of it. Or, in the case that your opponent is completely destroying you because of raid, Paladins Necklace. You deraid a character, and you get to draw a card. And let's say you had a second one. You could use that one as well to deraid a second character and draw a second card for just 2 actions. And it being 2 energy is not a bad energy cost either for a really good ability like this to try to keep up with your opponent if they're raiding a little bit too much. The first of 2 sight cards is going to be Risky Dice. Risky Dice is just a card that you play it and it is played like this. Normally when you play a card, they come in resting. However, this card, it comes in set to active. That's because of the little risky gamble that comes with it. During your main phase, you can switch it to resting and target any character on the field. Let's say this Gon, for example. If that top card of your deck is of 2 or more energy, then this Gon will gain 1000 BP, and you get to add that top card of your deck to your hand. However, if that card is 1 or less energy instead, this Gon dies, and that card remains on top of your deck. Unfortunately, this stays resting, or else you'd be able to do it a second time, but that is not the case in this situation. Now, why is Risky Dice in this deck? 1, it really helps increase the chance of getting specified slot because there are 4 others in here, so we have a total of 5. Not to mention, this Bisky will help get over those 5000 BP characters, such as your raid Killa, for example. But this ability actually strongly benefits one character in particular if you're trying to lose. That's right, Teron, who I mentioned not too long ago. Let's say you have your Teron with 2 cards underneath him, any 2 cards, right? You Risky Dice, and let's say that top card was a Bisky, very unfortunate. So this goes back on top of your deck and you kill off your Teron. It was sidelined. That's right, and because it was sidelined, you now get to look at these 2 cards, add one of them to your hand, and then place the other one in the sideline. Or the other way around, you know? However you best see to play the card. But Risky Dice is actually a really surprisingly good pick for this deck. Now, the second of your sight cards is Beach, and you're going to be running 2 of them. You're able to have up to 3, but I felt like 2 is the best because I do find myself drawing into it way too much with the way this deck is built. Therefore, I'm hitting a lot of dead draws that are not helping me out in the long run. Now, when you play this card, you instantly get to draw any 1 card off the top of your deck. And by any 1 card, I mean the only card that's on top of your deck. However, it has another little neat feature. Let's read that little font at the middle right there. It says, what does that say? Your maximum hand size is now 15 cards. Now, as the rules state, your maximum hand size is 8. You only have 8 cards in your hand at any given time. With Beach, you can have 14, 15 cards in your hand, which is insane considering how good specified slot is for 1, drawing cards, and 2, having cards in your hand at any given point in time. Not to mention, since you are drawing a lot, your hand's going to build up fast and you won't be able to play all those cards at once. What better way to keep that from happening than with Strip of Beach? Enough said. And the last card in your deck, which is personally one of my favorites, is Angel's Breath, or as I like to call it, your Monster Reborn. When Angel's Breath is played, you get to choose any character in your sideline that is of one action or less, as long as you have the energy required for it, and play it set to resting on the field. Now, that's really powerful. I can play this Gone Freaks and activate his automatic once per turn ability to draw a card off of him, right? Not bad. I could bring back this Gone to dig 7 deep into my deck again to look for another specified slot card. Another good card. There's countless potential for cards I can add in. Or, as stated by Angel's Breath itself, if that character is a raid character, you can perform raid with it. That's right, running 3 Killas doesn't seem so silly now, does it, when you can literally go into your sideline and pull them right back out at any given point in time, thanks to Angel's Breath. And not to mention, having Bisky out on the field allows you to not only play Angel's Breath, but to get it back for free, since it doesn't cost an action point to rest and kill her to get an Angel's Breath back, but you could possibly even play 2 Angel's Breath in one turn, and if you have 2 Killas on the field and 2 in the sideline, you could raid a second Killa in for absolutely insane damage if their front line is clear. And then one last thing I would like to mention before ending this video is the trigger abilities of Risky Dice and Strip of Beach. Since you are running only one Risky Dice, there is a possibility that it will end up in your life. However, the trigger ability allows you to add it to your hand. Same thing with Strip of Beach, and that pretty much goes for most side cards. Their trigger abilities is going to be able to add it to your hand. Therefore, if you take damage at a Strip of Beach, you get to draw a card and increase your maximum hand size. Or if it's Risky Dice, you get that insanely, really unique ability for Risky Dice. The other ability I wanted to talk about was the ability of this Killa Zic here. It is his color ability, where you get to choose a character with 3,500 or less BP on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand. Not a kill card like your Jajonkin trigger or your Angel's Breath trigger, but it is something that can help you clear the board out if you want to, I don't know, bring in a raid Killa to get that pesky 2 damage in, just cheekily off of an empty board. Whew. Alright, so that was Specified Slot from Hunter x Hunter. Now, I will say it's probably my favorite, but to be fair, I'm a little biased since I did make the deck myself. It was the one I was most intrigued by in the Hunter x Hunter self itself. Hunter x Hunter self itself? That's the one that intrigued me the most in the Hunter x Hunter set itself. Now, we could dabble in and continue on with other sets, and in fact, that's what you're going to be doing. Why don't you click one of the videos to check out Purple Bleach or Yellow Bleach deck profile as well. That way you get a good well-verse of what Bleach can do, as well as see what Hunter x Hunter has already done in this video. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what decks you guys are interested in building yourself, and if you're interested in Specified Slot as well. It's a little bit on the thinking side, but I say thinking, but it's really just a risk going through that deck. You don't want to deck out, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I've been D with DJR Union, and I hope you guys have a great one. Killer Queen, Daisa no Bakuden, Baitsa Dusto! That means replay the video. Go back to the beginning now and replay it.